I guess that's me. Hello everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to fill out this room and listen to me talk about TikTok for a little while. I would like to start off with an acknowledgement. GCAP 2022 is taking place on the lands of the Wurundjeri and the Boonwurrung peoples, and I wish to acknowledge them as traditional owners. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. So again, thank you again. It's just really nice to see people in person, see faces, feel vibes. I mean, a lot of what I do, of course, in my work is talk to people online, so it's really just been an extension of that, but nothing replaces those sweet in-person feelings. So I guess you are all here today to see my talk. It is called Braving TikTok and Creating Community and Running Ads, which is an appropriate title because I myself had to brave TikTok this year, even though it was very scary. And I feel like I have learned a few things about it, so I thought I would share them at this year's GCAP. Who am I? For those of you who don't know, my name is Victoria Kershaw. I've been working in game development for about 7 or so years now. I've worked at some pretty cool companies, including Tik Tok, EA Fire Monkeys, League of Geeks, and now I'm at the stunningly wonderful studio Drydock, a newer studio on the scene, but definitely one to watch if I do say so myself. I've worked with some pretty cool titles in that time, like Need for Speed, The Sims, Into the Dead, and Armello. I have been in the publication side of video games for my entire career, despite sometimes that not seeming like the sexiest to a lot of people within game development or outside of game development. It is something that I absolutely love. I find it so interesting doing the problem solving in those spaces. I love finding an audience, getting to know what they like, figuring out how to talk to them, figuring out how to say the same message 10, 15, 20, 30 times. I love figuring out what they like, figuring out how to serve up our product in different ways. And I particularly love working with other creatives in the team, as well as content creators outside of our team. I would be remiss to not talk about the project that has been my life for the last 12 months. And when I say all the time, I really mean all the time. That is Wildflowers, our gorgeous cozy game that was released on new platforms very recently. Its first launch was actually back in February on Apple Arcade. We've had about 500,000 downloads there so far, and we have come to Switch and Steam within literally the last 2 weeks. We came out on the 20th of September, so it's been a pretty wild time lately. A little bit about what Wildflowers is. On the surface, you're like, yes, okay, cozy farming simulation game. I know with the most recent Nintendo Direct, there's a lot of speculation about the oversaturation of farming games, and ours does start perhaps in the typical fashion. A early 20s woman moves to an island to look after her ailing grandmother and the farm after her life kind of falls apart in the city. But where things go a little bit different is grandma is actually a witch, and coincidentally, so are you. There is a local coven that you become a part of, and I think what really makes Wildflower special is the fact that we have this big, beautiful, heartfelt narrative story that runs right through the game and is actually expressed through a fully voice-acted set of characters. We have an orchestral score done with a real orchestra. There's some pretty special things going on in our sometimes unassuming covers. So I've been the marketing lead and have done, I guess, everything that has been marketing related with this title, which has been quite a few things. To name a few, we've got game naming, logo direction, game descriptions, storefronts, assets and trailer direction, community building, guiding content creation, press, running ads, working with creators. I could go on. This is, of course, how I got started with TikTok outside of my own incessant personal scrolling, as it was the platform that I wanted to focus on for discoverability. So it's really important that I do a disclaimer. TikTok is this is how it's working to the best of my knowledge right now. But it is a young platform, and it is actually quite young in its approach to monetization. As most of you will be aware, a lot of the users of this platform are not spenders. They do not have jobs. So TikTok is really trying to figure out how to squeeze some cash out. Things are changing and evolving all the time. Even when I was writing this talk, some things were out of date and I had to update them. Goodbye to the Instagram button and the YouTube button, you will be missed. Growth has been a lot slower this year than I would have hoped. Some folks, of course, with more viral titles have still managed to find a big audience and have had videos blow up, but it's just, there are no guarantees whatsoever. We've been at our TikTok account for about 8 months and have only managed about 12,000 followers so far. But we have explored quite a lot of ways that the platform can be used. So breaking down today's topics, getting started. I'd really like that for anyone that hasn't and is interested to have the invitation today to just get started. It gets easier, kind of, then it's harder again, then it's easier again. Making content, how to approach that, things to think about, making videos, then moving into spending and ads. There are quite a lot of ways that you can spend on TikTok. And working with creators. This is an exciting time. I've spent a lot of time on this, and it's very important that it had its own section. And then questions. So without further ado, getting started. Hooray, how exciting. One of the first choices that you'll have to make is whether you want your account to be a business account or a personal account. It's actually a pretty low stakes choice, being that you can actually flip between the two at any time. The business side likes to tout special features like their content guide, their video showcase, which gets updated regularly with TikToks that have done well on business accounts, TikToks that have done well in general areas. On a personal account, you'll get access to things like the Creator Fund, of course, not so relevant to us here. Ultimately, why I've got them in bold, full access to the audio library and the filters. We ultimately have chosen to go with a personal account because our number one is making the content itself as easy to make as possible. I should mention that we had changed to a business account at one stage and then flicked back to a personal account. And despite remaining a personal account, we actually don't have full access to filters. So despite saying that it's you can flick between both, there's still some little glitchy things happening in the back of TikTok where you may get restrained in the same ways despite not having the business account. Oh, and both accounts get analytics, so that's nice and we love that. Cool, so your first week on TikTok. I imagine most of you here already have TikTok. If not, you need to get it immediately. TikTok you have to spend time there. It's personally my favorite social media space to spend time on. So much of the content just makes me feel good, or I learn things and feel inspired. An hour a day, ideally, would be great, but you know, we all have different amounts of time to give. A good thing to do while you're on there is be saving sounds that you think are interesting and you want to try. Even better is if you have an idea for one of those sounds and trends, is to actually just click through the sound and make an ugly, terrible video with some janky copy on there to remind yourself what the idea was, and then when you have a little bit more time, actually go back and flesh out that idea. The good thing about the content on TikTok is if you have content that flops, nobody will see it, and that's great and lovely. I thought that I would be above making TikTok content that involved my face, excruciatingly painful, but I was not. My ego with every single video was challenged more than I thought possible. But as it's going around a lot these days, embrace the cringe. Cringe is only shame. You don't need to feel ashamed for trying. Trying is awesome and very cool. There are a couple of follower number unlocks that are pretty helpful in early TikTok life. Two of those are bio link and your ability to go live. Lives are an interesting thing to experiment if you wanted to do Q&As or just sort of like giving a little bit extra to those top dedicated fans. Like, there's not many things that you can give that are more valuable than a little bit of FaceTime and bringing that gap that they have between the developer, as small as it can be. But the star here, of course, is the bio link, especially after we no longer have our free website button with Instagram. This is the only way that you can basically call an action, where people use things like Linktree that aggregates multiple links. Yeah, great, wonderful. I think it's a great reward. I would love to say that the first 1,000 followers was very easy to do. It is not. Some people sit in there for months. I very luckily got a head start from a friend that had a TikTok account that was already rolling, which was you have to make a TikTok right now so I can send people there. There is also, at 10,000 followers, you can get playlists. So they're just basically story highlights from Instagram where you can aggregate little groups of content. So we've got like Wildflowers 101 and character introductions, since characters are so important in our game. So some getting started takeaways. Low stakes choice, maybe not so low stakes, who's to say? Pick a business or a personal account, that's a great idea. Watch some TikToks. That's a really great way to spend your time if you are serious about TikTok. It's great to have an early goal, that 1,000 follower goal, wonderful, perfect. And I also think it's really, really helpful to have some good friends and colleagues who are going to be there to support your efforts. The ego thrashing that I had would have been much worse had I not had supportive people who would go and leave a little emoji comment on my pathetic little video. I really can't recommend that enough. And when you do have one that actually hits, or there's something there that people find interesting, or you actually got 5 comments, it's really exciting and can definitely feel a little bit addictive to just want to make more and see what else can I make that will stick. Making content, yay, the hardest part. Actually, no, all the parts of TikTok are actually quite hard. But making content, the fun thing about TikTok, it really does need its own unique content. When I first started in community, there was no ability to promise virality. It was kind of a bit of a joke as a young community manager, social media manager. You would work with different companies and they would be like, I want something to go viral, and it's just like, that is just not something that you can ask for, like at all, ever. So that's the exciting thing about TikTok, is it is a real possibility as you put your little video coins in for what could potentially blow up. You can, of course, get away with a bit more copy-paste with content on the old regulars like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I know I said TikTok, but I meant Twitter. TikTok has its own voice. It has its own sense of humor. It has its own trends. It has its own styles of video. And so, yeah, you kind of need to make that video for the audience that is on the TikTok platform. It isn't really so much the place for a full trailer, though I would be lying if I said that I didn't put my trailers on there. You might be surprised what works on this very strange little platform. I like to think about each trailer as each video as a mini trailer. It's likely that most people that will see your videos, this will be the first time that they're exposed to your game. With that in mind, it's totally fine to reuse clips, reuse angles, mix up the text, mix up the content order. It's good practice to include a strong call to action as well as your game name in every video. I find TikTok a really great place to test and rework the key messages that I use to describe our game. Each video with that chance for a new audience, yeah, it's a really fun place to be playful. You'll repeat yourself more than you expect, but that is totally fine. Don't worry about that. This is all research and exploration. So making content tips. How long you spend on a video, it really has no connection to how the video is going to perform. Videos that I've spent 3 hours on, complete flop, absolute waste, 1,000 views or less. Half-baked, correctly executed trend, 100,000 views. Anyone that's using TikTok, you will often hear videos that have done really well for them are ones that they did on a total offhand without thinking too much about them. It's important to note that trends are more than just sounds. There is context. There are origin videos. The way that people are using those trends and sounds could be for good or evil. So I think it really is important to actually, if you're going to feed into that under a business name, which I assume would have its own set of values, that those are aligned. Again, having buddies in the space, I'm part of a little cozy developer Discord, so there are other lovely people throwing themselves out there, making content, and it's really helpful to look at what they're doing, share what's working, talk about times where growth is completely stagnant, aka a lot of the chat this year. And don't overthink it with making the content. I think honestly just making it within the app is a great place to start. I could tell you tools to use, but I don't think that that's nearly as important as you just starting to make stuff. TikTok, they say with a lot of things that you only learn by doing, and TikTok really is no different. Accounts to follow. These are some that I like. Some of these will obviously be familiar to you because they are absolute breakout hits, but I think they are still good masterclasses in how to do TikTok well. We have, of course, Leylindria in there too, who is a cozy content creator who is my community manager, and lovely Lumi's Kinda World game. They are a really wonderful example at what you can do with not only using game content, but really leaning into what are your values, what is important to those people, and what are ways that you can express your product connected to those. Mustard Soup, they do mail time. Anyone that uses TikTok has probably seen mail time. She masterclass in cut, chop, rechange, use the same messages, use the same pieces of video, and remix them. So some takeaways. Again, consume content. I cannot overstate, you need to consume content. And a good thing to do is to think about why something worked, why you liked it, why the people that liked it. What are the main conversations that are happening in the comments? Each video, mini trailer. So if you've got a mini trailer, you need to call to action. If a video flops, don't delete it. TikTok doesn't like deleted videos, and we want to appease TikTok, so you just want to put those under archive so that TikTok does not punish the engagement on your following videos. And just start making stuff. Do an idea. If it doesn't work, try it 5 different ways. I'm sure everyone's been very excited for this portion about how to do spending and ads, of which there are so many choices. Some of the important types of ads I thought to mention would be coin promotions, general ads, Spark ads, and working with creators. Gold promos really are promoting content within the app itself. General ads are done through the TikTok ad manager. There's a variety of options there again. Spark ads use creator content for ads, and creators, you can sponsor them to do videos. There's so much to say there that they have their own section in this presentation. One thing that is not mentioned here that will likely be added in the future is playable ads. This is already a popular feature on Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok. So coin promos. Coin promos are fun. Coins are TikTok's internal currency that they decided they needed to make. And it can be used for a couple of things. It can be used for promoting your videos, or it can be used to gift creators who have gone live. You can buy those coins on the app. You can also buy them on desktop. And for promoting these videos, you visit the video, you head to the settings, and there should be a bubble that gives you the option to promote. If it is grayed out, that is a sound that can't be used for an ad, so that's not a goer. Something to consider when making videos if you want to try and use them for promotions. My favorite thing about these promos is they create a bit of an increased engagement tail. So once the promo has ended, I see often an uplift in likes, comments, follows. This doesn't always happen, and it isn't promised anywhere, but it's one of the key reasons I like using this feature. It's a very simplified set of options to run a coin promotion. There's the classic goals like more followers, website visits, and video views. You can set a very basic audience. Of course, shame on the option for only all male and female. And you can pick a couple of little, what's the word I'm looking for? Interests. So like my ones are very simple. They're just sort of like female, 25 to 34, people who are interested in apps. And then I do varied numbers depending on how I'm feeling that day, or more often based on, do I think it's a really powerful piece of content that needs to be seen by more people, or that sort of thing. There are very simple analytics for how the performance was. How did it perform in the objective that you set, as well as the extra bits like likes. For ads in general, again, it's another set of many categories. For the purpose of this talk, we are mainly thinking about the in-feed ads. These basically appear to users in the general TikTok feed like a normal TikTok, except there's a call to action button. I thought it was worth mentioning these other types of ads, despite the fact that they are very expensive and likely not within the reach of most of us. But like everything with TikTok, I've heard from brands, there's a really big mix of how these perform, sometimes really well, often not that well. So in-feed ads, this dashboard shouldn't look too dissimilar to the Facebook ad manager, if you're familiar with that. As you would expect, there's different options for campaign types, calls to action. TikTok allows you to do A/B testing with messages, creatives, etc. The hairy part that I've had a little bit of trouble with is the fact that I am based in Australia, which means that when you get a TikTok ads account, you only have access to advertise to Australia and New Zealand. I imagine some of you also might want to advertise to a key audience such as the United States, but you cannot get access to that without a couple of things. Firstly, a TikTok account manager, and kind of fluffing a little bit how much you intend to spend. I had better intentions before I had actually done more of the ads, and the performance then decided how much I would spend. Each region, to make it just like a little bit more fun and a little bit more difficult, have their own different rules about how you can advertise and the restrictions there. Like for my game, I found that all in-feed ads would be rejected unless each video displayed the correct regional rating. I got around this personally by focusing on Spark ads in the US. Talking about Spark ads, I think they're really cool. They are a really unique offering that TikTok has against the other platforms. How a Spark ad works, a creator can set their account so that they're able to give Spark codes. They can give you a code from a specific video, and then you feed that into the back of TikTok Ad Manager and set it up like a normal in-feed ad. I think they're very good because they really do look like general content, because it really is just general content a lot of the time that somebody has made who is a general creator on the app. I like how TikTok describe it as an authentic, unique brand experience, because honestly they are. If you ask creators very nicely and you have an established relationship with them, they might just give you the code for the video if you ask nicely. Otherwise, you can offer to pay them. And there's also set times, 30 to 60 to 365 days, that you're able to use that as an ad. So, spending an ad takeaways, Spark ads, they are genuinely very cool, and if you have budget, I think they're absolutely worth having a play with. I would have a go with gold promos because of that tail. I think that that's really interesting, and it's super helpful with your little baby account that you're trying to get anybody to visit. To clarify, in general, when I'm talking about testing ads, I'm talking about testing with hundreds of dollars. You can lose money, no guarantees. You need a lot more than a random $50 to sort of start tending and aggregating how TikTok Ads Manager is going to interact with the user base. Experimenting with organic reach, I think we're all going to be doing that. My experiments with ads so far have gotten nowhere near the cost to click actions that I can get on Facebook ads. Personally, if you have a smaller budget and less of an experimental budget, I would recommend you doing your ads there. Working with creators, yay! I really do genuinely like it, and it's a space that I've spent a lot of time in, but there are a lot of heartaches and a lot of headaches. I cannot think of a better way to describe it than the absolute Wild West. There are no set ways that creators are doing things on TikTok for a few reasons. This is a younger space than places like YouTube and Twitch. Virality is possible for more than just a large creator, and creators know that they're offering value. They don't quite understand what that value is, based on things like click-through rates are very, very low on TikTok. It really is sort of brand awareness unless you have a mobile product and are doing install campaigns. Everything else kind of falls meaningfully into brand awareness. Some creators have a manager. Some just run their own little rodeo. There is no standardized pricing, but the more quotes that you get, you will start to sort of get what averages are at different times, as well as what are just absolutely wild outliers. So it is very risk versus reward. Much like TikTok as a whole, sponsoring creators to make videos is a roll of the dice. You have absolutely no guarantee on how anything will perform. Anecdotally, sometimes it feels like TikTok suppresses things that feel paid. For example, I recently worked with a larger creator who has about 450,000 followers on TikTok. The TikToks usually get about 50,000 to 100,000 views. They're extremely well matched to my audience. And that video got 12K views for 2,000 USD, which was very, very hard to stomach, but experimental marketing is a painful place to live. Before investing specifically in sponsored videos, I think it's really good to have a sit down and plan out what do you want out of these videos. Is it just video views? Is it brand awareness? Do you want personality association? Which in itself is an interesting one. Because TikTok, you have the ability to blow up so quickly, unlike places like Twitch and YouTube that really rest on the shoulders of building up your cult of personality. When you're buying a TikTok, you don't necessarily buy a personality as well. So, depends what you want. Do you want these videos for ads? It's important to keep an eye on this space because even in the last year that I've been using it, it has changed so much. So connecting with creators, there's a few different simple ways to go about it. Contacting them directly. To do that on TikTok, they need to be following you back. Email is great. You find emails on IG profiles. You can also, oh, go away. So sorry, that was just a little internet pop-up. You can DM them on Instagram for initial contact, but I think it's really great, if possible, to move as many people to emails to have everything in one space as possible. There's the TikTok Creator Marketplace, a whole nother TikTok tool. As the name suggests, this is a marketplace that you can use to find creators to work with. And then social media connection, same principles as the others, but you are spending time with the creators that you want to make friends with. Follow them, engage with their content, take an active interest, build a relationship over a period of time. Nothing may come of that. Loveliness may come of that. Again, it's just connection. Contacting directly. It's really great to be building a list of people that you might want to work with early on. Something that I tried was actually introducing my title many months before the console PC release to sort of get on the radar. For me, that was with specifically cozy content creators. And give them an intro of the game, give them a little bit of information, see how they respond to that. You can offer them a key for when the time comes or whatever's appropriate. Even if you don't have a budget for collaborations, you can still sort of be able to give them early advanced information, which is always highly coveted and prized, especially by people who are building their online presence through being in the know about a specific type of product, as well as, the offer of future keys and your own beginning of a relationship build. I thought it would be good to at least include one little comparison of three videos that came into my life during one of my campaigns. The first video, it was from a very well-known person in the cozy game space, good number of followers, absolutely completely flopped, suck full. Oh my God, 5,000 views. I was so upset. Why this happened, I believe, was because we were directly after a viral video that hit 1 million views that was about Animal Crossing, so it was really dead in the water. TikTok often does that, as mentioned before, suppresses videos after you've done well, which I still find quite strange. Video number 2, lovely creator, smaller, a very, very cheap TikTok, and it did really well. Don't know why, very glad to see it. And the third, it was just one that somebody made because they felt like it. This was back when they were a baby creator. They're at about 90,000 followers now, and it popped, which I feel like, looking at her content, it was really sort of like indicative that she would grow very quickly because of the caliber of what she was making. So I think that's important too when you're investigating different kinds of creators that you'd like to work with. It's not about what they have now, it's also about what could they have. Yeah, so you just really never know. I thought it would also be interesting to mention that how much pricing has changed during the last 12 months. 12 months ago in the cozy creator space, for somebody with 10,000 to 50,000 followers, you might be looking at 150 USD for one TikTok. However, by the time I joined the space and was actually ready to spend, videos had soared to 350 to 450 USD, which seems to be the new common space, as well as anecdotally, creators are telling each other to lift their prices. Indies at this time are being priced out, which is ironic considering that a lot of these accounts are built on sharing news of indie products. Something really needs to change in the pricing area. As a professional, I'll be trying to approach with different kinds of offers than they have had so far, such as putting somebody on a retainer for a monthly fee, or basing it, here is a minimum that you will be paid, and you will be paid an additional amount per extra 10,000 views on top of that, so that they're kind of inspired to I guess do more and have something that actually hits. I've had some creators who have done videos that have done so badly, they have emailed me and said, I'm so embarrassed, it flopped and I don't know why, don't pay me. So it's, it's kind of stressful for both sides. The people who you're working with genuinely want their content to do well, but just have no control over it. So for now, I wouldn't recommend that many sponsored videos, to be honest, but I would still focus on building those relationships because the space is ever evolving. There is the Tik Tok Creator Marketplace. This is a great place to visit to get some insight into what kind of numbers different creators are hitting, how much they're charging. A neat thing that you can do there is you can create campaigns. So with that, you can set objectives. There's the usual suspects: brand awareness, sales, website visits, and you can set specifications. When do you want that content to hit? What is the length of the video? What are the key messages? How much are you willing to pay for it? It's quite nice having this stuff set up front. So people that are priced out, just you don't speak in this spot. There are a lot of filters that you can use when you're doing your own searches on the website itself. You can look at where folks are based, you can look at where their audience is based, how many followers they have, their engagement rates. And another thing that you can do is you can, on the platform, you can invite them specifically to your campaign. Or you can just have your campaign set up so that anybody who wants to can apply. And again, like everything, we're talking to people, so be nice. I thought it would be interesting to show a simple search, no filters, just cozy game. These are 3 of the most popular cozy game creators right now. But the neat thing about seeing it displayed like this is you might want to go for somebody who has, you know, so many more followers, but, you know, when you look at the engagement rate and the average views that the much smaller account has, I know which one I would spend on. Another really cool thing once you start spending money in this area is to consider usage. Where, for how long, and how. This is a whole nother dimension of the creator world. The base cost, let's say $450 USD, that just covers the creation of the video and the posting on the person's profile. And ways that you can be charged are you going to use it on your own channel as well? Do you want to use it as an in-feed ad, or do you want to use it as a Spark ad? So this additional fee, one of my favorite examples is a large creator that I got a quote from who has 5 million followers on TikTok. One TikTok from her costs 9,000 USD, and then it is an additional 1,000 USD per month to use as an ad. Another thing that you might need to consider is a creative services agreement of some description, depending on how you want to use that content. I guess that's a neat thing about marketplace and personal relationships. Sometimes it simplifies the process and the steps that you'll do to work together. Paying creators has been a really interesting time that I found quite difficult for a number of reasons. I would suggest having the messages kept in email. Most creators have only ever been paid on PayPal, so they just have absolutely no understanding of how invoicing works, to the degree that people are like, I'm too scared to give you my bank details. So you're kind of having to like educate this audience about this is a standardized way of payment that a lot of industries use. So something that I did to make this easier was I actually just made a template of an invoice that had all of the information that we needed. I would love to say that that just made the process really smooth, but you really need to double check that they're actually reading all of the sections. Like, a lot of people don't understand that not everywhere uses USD. So patience can be really helpful with payments because it can be quite fraught. I've had people where, you know, you'll have on an invoice, needs to be paid within 30 days, but because people are used to being paid on PayPal, they're like, where is the money? It has been 1 week, I need my $50. And then sometimes they're like, I'm gonna smear your company name if you don't give it to me. So that's always very interesting to navigate as well. A little bit of customer service flexing within these relationships. So yeah, just be aware, it can be a little bit finicky. It requires patience. Working with creators, takeaways. If you're serious about wanting to get involved in paid ads, get yourself an account manager for TikTok. I, of course, have a contact for one, so if anybody is interested in that, I would be happy to do an intro for you. Taking an active interest in the creators in your space is a really great thing to do. Show them love, engage with their content. There are no guarantees with anything that you get that is sponsored, so temper your expectations. Of course, there are a variety of things that you can sort of get out of these connections. Some people really do have little cult of personalities around the accounts that they're making, and their followers are devoted to them. So sometimes just that connection is actually what you've paid for. I've had different things with ads where people have made me a video just because. So I've actually done a paid ad with them afterwards, more as a thank you for the previous content that they've made us. So there's a few different ways you can go about it. It is very Wild West. Be prepared for those flops. Yeah, and the creative space, it's really moving and shaking and changing all the time. So asking questions, being in touch, being in contact, just doing research of gathering quotes from different kinds of spaces. Like a space that has overlap with the cozy space is people that are really into sexy pink computer desk setups. So some of those people, it's very sexy and cool to be contacted by a video game development company. So their TikToks might be something like 50 USD. So it definitely pays to kind of shop around. People in video games, the prices are soaring. So being creative there can really help. And that's more or less what I had to say. So if anyone had any questions, apparently you need to come to the microphone so that it can pick you up for our friends for recordings. But if nobody has any questions, that is also very good. Sorry. Don't be sorry.
So I think I might be more scared of TikTok now than when I entered the room. But I guess overall, with all the churn underneath it, would you say it was worth it? And how would it compare against the other social media ads? Like you said, actually, Facebook was better bang for your buck. So like for someone who doesn't have the luxury of a full-time social media manager or a marketing department, like would you still recommend TikTok?
TikTok in general, absolutely. Would I recommend paid TikTok? No. Oh my God, not the time. I still think TikTok is a very, very powerful channel for discovery. I have people come through all different kinds of the work that I'm doing. I've had people who do game reviewing, people through press, different influencers that I've wanted to do paid work with later on different channels who've all been exposed to us on TikTok. I think what you can do on TikTok is quite powerful because it's all, depending on the way you choose to make your videos, you're using somebody's face. And I think you can just do that so easily on that platform, and that connection that you can get with people while you're growing that initial base of your super fans that you want to be the people who put your content and messages on their backs and carry it through and spread it all around. So yeah, I think it's absolutely worth the time.
Cool, thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, what's going on? This might be a silly little question, but I know, for example, that Instagram has a heavy correlation with the frequency of which you post your stuff. Does TikTok have a similar thing where it has to be every day that you post something?
It doesn't have to be every day, but it would be amazing if it was every day. Yeah, making more videos on there in general is good because you're flexing your muscles and learning how to make videos that the app likes. So even if they aren't actually very successful on the platform, if you learned how to do a new thing or you learned how to use a filter in the right way, amazing. Like the TikTok has done its job.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben.
Hello, Victoria.
Hello.
Thank you for the presentation.
You're very welcome.
I've been in social media for a couple of years now, so I'm really curious about all the questions that you probably can answer. My big one, I noticed you didn't talk about the analytics side and like the review of your posts.
Yep.
What social listening tools do you use to manage other platforms and TikTok?
I would love to say that I use a whole bunch of social listening tools, but I would be lying to you, and I'm not here to do that. I've been in a situation where a smaller company, there has just been me for the predominant time that I've been at the company to do the entire slate of marketing. So the amount of analytics tracking outside of the basic things that are offered within the sites themselves just haven't been available to me because those sort of things, they just take time, and I just didn't have any.
Yeah, no worries, thank you.
So you've kind of shot my question in the foot. as far as tracking, I guess what does TikTok give you as far as demographics that you actually reach? Because you were saying that you can target all male or female age groups. Do you find that it lands better beyond just younger audiences generally? Or are there any particular demographics that stuck out to you as, oh, this hit better with this group of people than I was maybe expecting?
Oh, I'm hardcore. 25 to 35 is pretty much where I live when I do ads on all platforms, to be honest. They're all people that have jobs, which is, I want to generally sell premium products to people that have money. I will sometimes get good engagement from 18 to 25, but I'm like, you're useless to me, It's nice that you like it, and I like that you're looking at it, and maybe you can ask your partner or your mum for our product. But unless you're going to be a very powerful sharer, I think that's what's difficult sometimes, is you can't always tell, I guess, the extended value that different age groups could have to you, because it's definitely not clear which demographics are doing which actions, which is a bit frustrating. Because, of course, we want saves and shares are really those tasty ones to get more people seeing your content, but it doesn't tell you the behaviors of the different age groups.
All right, thank you.
No worries.
Hi, so I actually do social media as well, and I wanted to know your thoughts on TikTok moving more towards search engine, and SEO and search terms and all of that within their platform at the moment. I know they're making a lot of changes around that right now. So
It's more like, I guess, the trajectory that you'd expect. It's kind of just the things that are the backbone of how you find things on the internet. And the thing with TikTok is it has such a large user base that is growing at such an exponential rate that the pure volume of videos that are on there, I think without better ways of searching and finding things, it wouldn't be able to handle the content creation.
So from what I've seen, the TikTok audience for English speaking seems to be predominantly US. Do you time the TikToks to specific times of day to accommodate that?
I do a mixture. We're saying I've been mostly alone doing this role, but in the last few months, I have very luckily got a community manager who is based in the US. So she does posting based on what she thinks will be good for the US audience. But from my own experiences with trying to target the US, I usually do around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, seems to do really well. My community manager does the equivalent of our 10 a.m. till 11 a.m. Sometimes we post outside of those zones. For my general community management, it has always been on other channels that you would post around about 2 to 6 a.m. would kind of be a really good time, but the answer is yes, often. Thank you. Thank you for your questions, everyone. That's very nice. Yeah, so if you want to find me on Twitter, that's where you can find me. That's our TikTok, and I really, really like talking about marketing and community management and people. I just love ideas and connections, so yeah, feel free to hit me up. Thank you.